feel confused a bit, and it's like not confused, but I'm scared because I know that I'm not gonna do a great job communicating. Cause I don't know, it's a little bit complicated, this entire thing. For now, for sure, I'll get better, I think. And wait, can you hear that? Yeah, it's working. I'm sure I'll get somehow better, but cause it's a complicated thing that I'm trying to do, I suppose. Well, I think, I don't know. But okay, so these videos, these things that I'm trying to record are one of the many ways in which I'm trying to do a few things. One of them is to remember stuff, so probably the main one. So I try to remember many things. What kind of screen can I put that maybe is less boring than this? It's pretty ugly. This is too bright. I'll go with this, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'll keep this. Maybe. It's a pretty ugly picture. So, I never read all this shit. Okay, so yeah, what I'm trying to do is just another way of remembering stuff, because I just forget as time goes by. I don't know if what it is. I don't know if it's just a period. I don't know if it's normal because I'm growing up. I don't know if it's because of all the amount of stuff that that has happened in the past years. I don't know. I don't think it's that. I have some kind of opinions, but I don't care about them so much. The point that I care about is that for a reason or another, I'm forgetting stuff. I cannot keep track of everything, at least not like I used to do, or at least not as I feel like I used to do. Because I'm not sure I could remember so much. For sure, I could remember better than now. I think that's for sure. But I don't know how much better, like how better. But regardless of that, one of the solutions that maybe are making it worse, because I feel like if I keep depending on documenting stuff like recording and taking pictures and writing and blah blah, if I depend on those things, my memory gets more dependent on those things. So maybe if I didn't have the chance to record stuff, I would remember more, probably. But at the same time, I don't feel like I can do much at this point, or I can do, but it seems a little bit too difficult, too tiring to actually do anything about it now. So maybe even if my mind gets worse because of this solution that I'm adopting, at least I'll have some form of solution, these videos, and then, well, many other things that I've done. So throughout time in the past years, as we know, so I'm gonna say a lot of things that I know, as Sophia knows, because these videos are directed mainly for myself and Sophia, and then everyone else. So first of all is for me and Sophia, maybe a little bit more for me, because I clearly care a little bit more than her, I suppose. I care a little bit more than her, and I also care a little bit more in general remember for myself, because I know that she doesn't care so much. So I naturally care more just for myself. But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just a little bit more. But yeah, I'm trying, as you can see, as always, trying to be as transparent as possible, to point out as many things as possible, to be as clear as possible. And it's not just a matter of clarity, as in I say everything that comes to mind. No, it's more like I say pretty much everything that comes to mind, but I also try to process it. So I try to say what I want to say. So I might be honest about, I had this thought, but I want to discard it. I want to fuck it. I want to leave it behind. So I I do that. And for some people maybe that's filtering, but I feel like as long as I show my filtering, I expose how I filter something. So what I decide to think, what I decide to feel, what I want to feel, what I don't want to feel, blah blah blah. I think that's the kind of honesty I want. I don't just want to say random stuff and whatever comes to mind and just throw it out there. I don't need to do that. So sometimes I might stop, and I'm not stopping because I'm hiding something or changing the way it's gonna come out. In a way, I'm changing the way it's gonna come out, but I'm including all the ways that I can think of, that I have passed in my head. And again, I don't do that just because of the video. I do that normally when I talk to people I know, and if they know as well, if they notice, if they observe enough. When we talk, there are some times where I stop and I think, even while I'm talking, I'm like, yeah, and I'm basically reflecting on what I'm saying. I'm saying very obvious things, but they're not so obvious for most people, and especially, more importantly, I don't know how fucking obvious it will be for me or for Sophia. So the point is, I'm saying things that I know very well, and Sophia probably knows as well. I don't know how well, because of course I don't know how much I will remember of all this. I do think that these things are, this concept and these kind of things, I will remember them very much in a large way, generally, but not so general. Like I will remember a lot of it because these are ideas that I've taken with myself for how long now? It's been quite a few years. Surely ever since I was 15, 16, kind of started them, developed them up until 17, 18, and from there they've been pretty constant. Maybe I've been shaping them a little bit better, of course, but I think largely they've stayed the same. And so ever since those times, I try it in a way that is very casual, to not forget stuff, just as casual as this, really. What I mean by casual is that I want to document stuff, I want to remember stuff, but it's not necessarily so important. It's not something that I need to do, or that I even feel like doing. To be honest, even today, even right now, I'm forcing myself a bit to do this. It's like I would rather go and play Final Fantasy and just be lazy and stuff. So it's not something that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to keep this, record, or blah, blah, blah. No, it's more like, okay, I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty good idea. It's going to be good for, good and mainly useful for me, for maybe Sophia, and for maybe anyone else. So yeah, the reasons are, again, to remember, to keep a track, for something that I can go back and watch myself. I think the first ever attempt at this, it's not important, so I'm gonna say maybe random stuff that it's just stuff that I'm thinking of right now. So be careful with how long these videos are gonna be, with how clear they're gonna be. they're not meant to be clear, they're not meant to be engaging, they're not meant to entertain anyone. So whoever is come here to think that they're going to be entertained, well, depends on how you see entertainment, but it's not going to be very, very much in line with the usual entertainment. However, I'm gonna try and not lose myself too much, because I don't want it to be so long. I don't want them to be too long, because of course I want to watch them in the future. And if I see something that's too long, I don't know, it's fucking 8 hours, I might watch it, but at the same time it's a little bit hard to navigate through it. So I don't want to care so much about the time, or it has to be short and blah blah blah. But at the same time, I don't want to exaggerate. And yeah, so one reason again, remember? Oh yeah, I was telling an anecdote. So yeah, I think the first attempt of mine was when I was in 3rd grade of high school in Italy. So that would be 13, 14. And I wrote myself a letter, telling for the version of me, the 18 years old version of me. Maybe before, well, no, it was before the 3rd grade. It was definitely before the 3rd grade. So yeah, it was for the version of me that would have turned 18. Of course, it's a silly fucking thing. I was little, so this idea, oh, when I'm 18, there was no... I remember very much that I thought it was silly at the time as well. But I still did it, of course, because it still kind of made sense. Part of me still thought it made sense. Just to give myself like a point of referral. Of course, right now, with the awareness I have now, I wouldn't do it. I would use maybe another point of referral that is more well thought, that I would appreciate more. But yeah, at the time that was it. And I wrote myself this letter because I wanted to give that myself of the future. I remember completely the words, of course, but I remember the contents were about achieving this dream of having this life with friends, like How I Met Your Mother, to go to the bar together downstairs and have this kind of simple, silly, happy life. And overcoming that pain I was feeling so much of being betrayed by my friend and the girl I liked. I felt betrayed because they had lied to me and they had hidden stuff from me for some months. And yeah, I'm not gonna go into that in deep detail into that because I don't give a fuck about it. But it was interesting that I wanted to keep a record of those feelings and to give myself for the future the push. I don't think I had seen it anywhere. I wasn't, as a kid, I wasn't copying anything specifically, maybe indirectly without realizing I was. But at the time it was an idea during the desperation, because I felt very desperate. I remember it was pretty intense, but of course I was a kid and it was many years ago, so who knows. So yeah, I think that was the first attempt. But around the even before the 15 years old mark, I started to think, like, I didn't have social media and shit. When I started having social media, the Instagram, I used it as a diary. But it was a pretty silly thing. Nothing too intense, nothing too well thought. But it was that. I was trying to keep a diary, take pictures of me, some things that I saw, but it wasn't well done, because I wasn't so aware. It wasn't well thought again. And then the thing evolved pretty quickly, especially when I got myself in some relationships that for me were important. And then I started to record stuff in a more well thought way. I was like, this is not maybe gonna last forever. If it is, good. We can see all this stuff together. If it is not, at least we can remember how it was and keep a record of it. And again, these thoughts came from me just caring a lot about those moments, and about those people. and about that idea of showing also that I cared a lot and I wanted to keep those moments, and that was one of the ways I would show how much I cared. So it wasn't just a way to document, but also a way to express appreciation also for the other person to see. But it's mainly for the relationship, but then also for the other person to see. So yeah, that was the big, well thought one. Then I had dropped Instagram because it was too shit of a place to be. So mainly my gallery, my phone, my camera were my recording stuff, my documenting tools. Is that how you say? And that's been like that for quite a long time. Since I was 17, I would say, maybe before then. But yeah, 17, all that. I'm probably missing some stuff that I should mention, but eventually, yeah, my awareness, again, I shaped it more and more and more. And then also this need of actually forgetting stuff, so actually having to remember stuff because I kept forgetting perhaps, has become more and more real, especially in the last year. So before it wasn't so real, but in the last year or so, it's become a little bit more real. Not so annoying, because I feel like if I put enough effort, if I want, I can remember most stuff. I can keep track of it. But again, there's a lot of laziness. Just like this video, this recording, I don't feel like doing it so much. A part of me does, for sure. That's why I'm here. But part of me just wants to play and just wants to mess around, especially this period. So yeah, I'll start recording stuff, taking pictures of, very, very silly ones, and I still do that. I don't try to make the pictures look good. Same thing as the videos. I try to make them a little bit clearer, but I try to mix that with a sense of immediateness. I don't know if that word exists. Immediatezza. So something that happens there and then. Again, what a photograph sometimes should be like. A photograph of a moment. It's like as if you stopped the moment for a second, and that photograph doesn't necessarily show the truth. It doesn't necessarily show a lie. It shows a moment that is unfortunately just a moment. It's not much. It's not enough to have an idea of what was going on, and that was it. That was the enough for me, because I knew that I couldn't record every fucking second, even though I would have liked to. And I still think of it because it's something that I keep thinking about it, and that's why we're here now, because I keep thinking about it and I keep getting some ideas about it, but again in a very calm way. Because I don't want to get obsessed at the same time. I don't want to care too much about things that I don't think I should care too much about. So I give some care, and my care is this. So I think about it pretty much every day, but sometimes not just there are some days in which I don't think about it. And when I do think about it, it's just in a very silly, or let's say creative way. I don't like that word, but in a creative way, in the sense of, oh, maybe I can do this, and then I never do it. Just like these videos, I've thought about them probably years ago. Not on Twitch, of course, and not on YouTube, but I started recording myself. And I actually did last year. It's been actually a year since the first documentary that I did, because of a class. But not quite, because the class didn't really allow me to do that specifically. It's just that I stretched a bit and I put what I wanted to do. But yeah, it's actually over there, isn't it? Yeah, the time we have. I was actually wearing the same fucking shirt, the same trousers, probably the same fucking underwear. I won't be lying to you. Not the same earring, because I'm a piece of shit and I lost one of the two. But the other one is the same earring. So, yeah. Yeah. I'm basically repeating the stuff that I say in this disclaimer. But in that disclaimer, I had to be short. Well, I had to be short. It had to be some minutes. Because the entire documentary had to be way shorter than what it came out to be. Oh, what the fuck? So yeah, but the concept is the same, because my ideas are the fucking same as last year. Because to be honest, it doesn't seem like it's been a fucking year. 11 months ago. Yeah, so that's what I've done. I try to think about these things, being creative, accepting the limits of a technology that in reality opens so many boundaries. Like I wouldn't be able to do these things if it was such a long time ago, like years and years ago. I would have had to do it with a pen and a handwriting, which I like. I like that medium as well. I like to write down stuff. I don't do it because I'm lazy, but I use lazy as a word, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. I'm not just lazy. But yeah, I like to write things as well. But I actually prefer videos way more, because you can see how I move. You can see how I'm talking, the voice, the tone, and you can see, again, kind of a photograph of this period, but a very good fucking photograph, because the way I'm talking right now, it's the way I've been talking for quite a long time. It's very similar to how I talk. I've been talking for years. Of course, it changed a little bit, but it's especially also, more importantly, it's the way I talk during the day. Regardless of whether over the years it changed a little bit, the most important thing is the way I'm talking right now is the way I talk, just to other people outside. So I can do that in front of a camera, thank God. And it's great, because then myself in the future will be able to see the way I was expressing myself in the most truthful possible way. And then of course Sophia can, and anyone that is interested in viewing the life of someone of these times, the life of someone that is very average. I know that my life has not been the most average, but it's very average. It's normal life, normal person. Nothing too extraordinary. Of course, everyone is pretty much different. Everyone is different. Okay, everyone is different. But what I mean, of course, that I do have some maybe traits, some mixtures of things that are a little bit unique. I don't give a fuck. The point is that I'm an average person in the general term, and I see it as something interesting, because it's something that I, even before I studied anyway, history of art, because I was going to use an example of history of art, but before I used that, even before I started studying history of art, of course I felt it was fascinating to know how someone is, how someone lives their life, how, as much knowledge as possible of a certain person or a period of time, or an object as well. Of course, I have some inclination towards people. I am more interested about the entire context in which a person is, other than like a specific phenomenon or a specific period of history or some shit like that. In fact, the time we have is mainly about two people. It's basically about two people. That then they talk, because of the questions I make, they talk about themselves and the context in which they lived, and so therefore about other things. So it branches out. But the main thing, the main inclination is surely them. And yeah, so forgot what I was saying. Forgot what I was saying. So Oh, yeah. So because I find that interesting, I think many other people, if not the majority of the people, but surely many people, I think find it interesting to know more about other people's lives from the past, especially. And more importantly, I think, at least for me, but I think again, many can relate. I care a lot. I appreciate much more when things are truthful and honest, and even more, but this is an exaggeration and it's very rare, when things are very clear. Because I can be honest and truthful, but I can be a mess like I'm being right now. But I am trying my best to be clear, just like every day of my life, anytime I open my mouth. Well, not anytime, most times, because I don't just like clear things. I also like messy things. I like to have fun with that and, explore something that is not clear. One of my the things that I read or that I play, have very cryptic narrations where things are not clearly told. They're not clearly told at all. They're very hidden, or you have to think about it, and most times maybe you have many interpretations. I enjoy those things way more than others. But again, if I had to choose between the things, if I had to say which things I appreciate more, not just from fun or entertaining point of view or engaging point of view, but also from a sense of appreciation that goes beyond what I enjoy, but it goes maybe into how useful it is, then maybe I appreciate a little bit more clarity. Not saying that it's not useful. Again, it's very useful to be in confusion, in darkness, interpretations and stuff. It's very useful, but I think we have already enough of that, if I have to be honest. We already have enough of that, not just in art, but in general when things surround us, at least in how I see things that surround me or others around me in this context and this era, but I think also in the past. It's more like things are almost never clear, and they're almost never truthful, and they almost always many layers. And even me talking right now, of course, has many layers, but again, my attitude is clearly towards showing all these layers and unraveling all these layers. And as I go through, I find all the layers and I try to unravel the new ones that I find as well. So yeah, it's very constant and effort. Nel palazzo del mistero. Oh, Sophia's writing to me, but I didn't write that. Well, I got a little bit carried away with this idea of starting before it was too late, before I started playing and doing other things. So yeah, and the example of the history of art thing is that I see it as a little bit of an archive. When you go and read documents from the past, and from them, it's from them that we know how people lived, that we know history basically. Otherwise we don't know fucking anything about history. I think it's pretty interesting that because those documents are such a delicate source of knowledge, most of the time it's really hard to understand where they fucking come from, who those people were that wrote them, in what occasion they wrote them, with what intent. What did they have in mind? But what did they really have in mind? What did they feel? How did they sound? A lot of question marks that some get answered, some not, some more or less, and blah blah blah. And I see this like that. I see that this, of course, is for me again, and possibly Sophia in the future. But it's also for anyone else in a remote future or in a near future that might want to read a document of the past or of the recent past, wanting to explore that moment, that person, and I'm trying to make their job as less tiring as possible. So I don't want them to have to, understand if I'm being truthful, if I'm being honest, what intent I have. Oh, but why did you write this? So with this story of art, it's very hard, right? Because you have this documentation, but then who knows how the fuck it went? Who knows what the artist thought? Who knows how the artist felt when painting that? Why did he painted certain things? And when I read things from art historians and shit like that, I get so many of these questions. So many. Anything I read is like just a question. It's just a doubt. At least most of it. And I try not to get carried away by doubts, but they exist. They should exist, especially in that context. Now, of course, I don't expect people watching this thinking, "Oh, I can lay back because he's doing all the work for me." I'm just saying that I'm trying, and then you can be doubtful as much as you want. Probably you should be. Because of how normally things are. So you probably should be doubtful. You should be doubtful about my capabilities, first and foremost. But regardless of doubts, here it goes. Let's see how we manage. And again, it's not gonna be the best archive, because I'm just gonna document some stuff, and I'm not gonna be like a historian. I'm not gonna be there making sure everything is noted at all, because again, I don't want it to be an obsession. I don't want it to be something so important. First off, I don't want it to be so important. It has some importance. I want to record stuff, I want to remember stuff, but at the same time, fuck you. At the same time, remembering stuff, why should I, all these things that exist, these thoughts that I think that are really relevant and very, very, not true, but very appropriate. Yeah, very appropriate. Basically relevant. So that's pretty much the aim of these things. Nothing more, and probably nothing less. If there is something more that I forgot, or less that I forgot to mention, I will, just in any of these videos that will come up. Yeah, so again, it's not going to be any different. Well, it's not going to be so different from what I have already been doing for years. It's just going to be a little bit more long, because now I have I have the tools to do that. Before I only had my phone, and I have this very set amount of space. It's very limited. I cannot record everything, I cannot take photographs of everything. But here, with Twitch, I don't need to record this on my computer. I record it on Twitch, and then I export it on fucking YouTube. So I never see all those gigabytes, they're just on the cloud. But I don't need to do anything. I just need to export stuff. And I think YouTube has been a very reliable storage, because of that near run that I did with Miriam, that I showed her all the game as I was playing all of it in live, and those videos are still there from how many years ago? At least 4 years ago, more than 4 years ago. They're still there. So of course I'm risking, because I'm recording this stuff. I put it on YouTube, then YouTube fucks off and everything is lost. But hopefully, if that ever happens, I have enough time to save everything and blah blah blah. Let's respond to Sophia a sec. Actually, let's finish this one, then I'll start the new one, because this is the disclaimer. Beautiful, messy disclaimer. So, is there anything else to say? Yeah, there is, I think, which is the way I started to think about these videos. Of course, I thought of them since ages, again, not on Twitch, but in many ways I was like, oh, Miss Sophia, maybe we should buy, well, maybe I was like, maybe one day we should buy cameras, put them pretty much everywhere. But at the same time, again, the idea is not perfect because it's too much, it's too long. You know, if I get to a certain point where I want to watch those things, what the fuck am I gonna do? Watch a 24-hour video? Cannot do that. Already this, it's gonna be hard to watch all of it. But the important thing first is that it has to be there. I have to have the chance. That's the most important thing. I have to have the opportunity to be like, you know what? I want to see how I was. I want to see what I thought. I want to see what I said. And the opportunity for other people to see what I said, see what I thought, if they ever care, if they ever want to care. I don't give a fuck, of course. I don't need anyone. I can be in my room alone like I am. I spent all this year in my room, never going out other than to work. I'm perfectly fine. I wish I was a little bit more productive for certain specific things that are very personal, like writing and reading a bit, only those things. But other than that, I'm pretty fine with how I spent my time in literally caged in, my curtains closed, no sunlight, even though there's none here in England, so it's okay. So I don't, again, as I said, I don't need to do any of this, and it's actually more, it's kind of I have to put effort into being here recording instead of going to play my little games. But yeah, if anyone cares, anyone wants to explore this material, to delve into the life of a normal boy that has thoughts, ideas, feelings, experiences of this era, there is nothing so special. But I suppose like any other era, right? And yeah, I thought of starting it specifically also because of this guy. So I thought with this guy, just like with any other guy really that I listened to or that I watched or anything that I read or experience that I've had, so there's something that kind of triggers ideas. And again, this idea is not new. It wasn't trigged by him, so it's not new. But it was triggered once again by him, by listening to him. What I mean is, this idea was triggered by various things in the past. This time, it happened to be him. And I thought, okay, I'm exploring this guy, and I have, as usual, thoughts, feelings, even just the fact that I'm exploring him. I'm gonna forget them. I'm gonna forget how I started exploring him. I'm gonna forget what I felt specifically when I listened to specific songs the first time, and then how many other times. Generally, I'm gonna forget all these details, and I care about these details. I like them. I think they're helpful. They're funny. I think they can be interesting again for anyone wishing to study or care about the life of someone from these times. So, yeah, that's pretty much all of it. And then again, if I missed any other details, any other reasons, ideas that I should have put in this introduction, I'll do that later on. I'm sure I'll repeat myself many times, mainly because I do repeat myself because I'm an idiot and I repeat myself a little bit too much, but also because I want to repeat myself, because I think these things should be mentioned more than once so that they're clear in the mind of anyone that is watching this shit. They remember how delicate everything is, how careful they have to be with all this, how doubtful they can be with all this, and what kind of experience to expect. I think it's important, just like again I'm doing normally with anything. I tend to repeat myself also because I'm not that interesting. I don't have so many thoughts. they're always the same. They've been the same for a long time, and I like them. I think they're good. I like the fact that they've been pretty constant, pretty sturdy, even if I don't fucking need it, because I can change, and I want to be able to change idea and thoughts as soon as possible. And that's also the reason why I repeat them and I challenge them with anyone, because I want to challenge them. And so this introduction will just be probably repeated many times in a way or another. Probably not again 40 minutes of this, but some minutes. That is all. Now I'm gonna go answer Sophia, and then maybe I'll start with Andre already. I don't know, because I'm so lazy, man. I'm thinking about Final Fantasy 14. I wanna open it and play it for the next 6 fucking hours. I'm thinking